mouth to suck him dry. He wasn't ready for this to end. Not yet. With as much self-control as he could rally, Grant gripped Lane's wrist, holding the man's hand still. Of course, Lane being Lane, he simply squeezed, making all of the blood pool in the head of Grant's dick. Damn! That was definitely not helping matters much. At the same time, Grant slipped the fingers of his other hand into Gracie's long, silky blonde hair, effectively subduing her, although she still had her mouth wrapped around the engorged head of his throbbing cock, flicking relentlessly. "You two are gonna be the death of me," Grant said, his voice sounding as though he'd just gargled sand. Gracie's answering smile was potent enough to light up the surface of the sun. She released him from the heaven of her mouth long enough to say, "That's the idea." "Not yet. It's not," he informed her, shifting just enough to keep her from driving him stark raving mad once again. Since he had their attention, Grant took the opportunity to turn the tables, or more accurately, to turn Gracie. He moved, persuading her with a twist of his body to slide off his leg. And just as he'd anticipated, Lane wrapped his muscular arms around her, pulling Gracie back on top of him, her back to Lane's front. "Oh yeah," Grant crooned as he stared down at his two lovers. "Exactly where I want you." "Which one of us?" Gracie goaded. "Both of you," he replied, offering her a suggestive grin. Turnabout was fair play, after all. "Now don't move." With Gracie now parallel to Lane, Grant eased himself between their spread legs while he slid his hands up the inside of Gracie's toned calves, past her knees, then over the supple skin of her inner thighs, stopping just short of her smooth, bare mound. All the while, Lane remained stone still beneath her. Yeah, Lane knew what was coming. Him, if Grant had anything to say about it. Using his forefinger and his thumb, Grant separated the swollen outer lips of Gracie's pussy, revealing the soft pink flesh beneath. Not wanting to give them an opportunity to take the reins from him, Grant leaned forward and skimmed his tongue through Gracie's slick folds, eliciting a soft, purring moan from her. Peering up the length of her slender body as he teased her sweet pussy, grazing her clit briefly, Grant noticed Lane was massaging her breasts. Grant was riveted, admiring the significant contrast of Lane's enormous, sun-bronzed hands against the full, milky white globes. Gracie purred again as Lane kneaded her breasts gently, while teasing her nipples by tweaking the dusky pink tips between his fingers. Her soft moans were louder than before, the lyrical hum of her satisfaction spurring him on. Grant focused his attention on lapping Gracie's pussy, rhythmically, thrusting his tongue into her, pushing her closer and closer to the edge. If he had a choice, he'd feast on her for hours. No, make that days, just so he could hear her gratifying moans. Not wanting to leave Lane out, Grant cupped Lane's heavy sack, using a similar motion on him that the other man was using on Gracie's breasts, squeezing each testicle gently yet firmly. "Oh, yes," Lane groaned, fumbling with Gracie's breasts momentarily. Grant pretty much lived for Lane's reactions, the way he writhed and lurched, trying to get closer to Grant's exploring fingers. Lane clearly wasn't content with the current positions, because the next thing Grant knew, Gracie's pussy was pulled away from his eager mouth as Lane drew her up his body, offering Grant better access to Lane's long, thick erection, seemingly reaching out for Grant's attention. A quick adjustment, and Grant was back in position, alternating between wrapping his lips around the head of Lane's dick, sucking slowly, and using his tongue to swipe the pre-cum beating on the swollen head, purposely working Lane into a frenzy before sliding up to Gracie's pussy, offering her the same delicate attention. "Grant," Gracie squealed. Oh God, that feels good."